Now see, I've got all this stuff wiped down. I got everything ready to start my paint. And you remember, I still have to sand this. I've got to take out the weather stripping. I've got to take this stuff out. I got to fix some little gouges on this door frame. And before I paint this, I'm going to have to put some masking tape down on the floor around the door jamb. Put some craft paper here. Clean off around these hinges now with my simple green. And I got a wire brush to wipe that stuff out. Clean all this stuff out. Sand all this stuff. Wipe them all down. Am I going to do all that yet? No. I'm going to get the paint going on here so that you know, I can do this in phases so that stuff can be drying over here while I'm waiting for these doors to dry after putting the first coat on. Or see, the first thing I'm going to do is, remember, I'm going to hit these edges and anything that's dark, and see, I even sanded this top edge. See, I even sanded that all nice, and there's some wood showing there. I did that before, and I did that on the tops and the bottoms. You'd be surprised at all the stuff the last painter leaves for you, and all that kind of stuff. And I run my fingers around this edge. Try that on one of your old doors and see if you can do that, you know, without feeling anything. Chances are you're going to feel all kinds of junk on there. And sometimes your door edges could be really super sharp because they never prepped them properly before they initially painted the doors years ago. Okay, so all that kind of stuff you can take into consideration before you start getting ready to paint. Okay, now that I've got everything wiped down, now I can do it step by step and do each little bit in phases. Think about what I'm doing and all that while I'm letting this stuff dry. Then I can start working back here and getting this door jamb cleaned up, masked off, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, remember, your project goes in phases. Just think about it and ask yourself, okay, what's the next step? What should I do next and next and next? And you'll learn as you go. That's just how it works. Well, I'm getting ready to get into that paint, and luckily I've got some extra pieces of some craft paper, so I'll set those down and get the paint out. Now this paint, I'm just going to talk to you briefly about the stuff, how I'm going to get this set up. This paint I used about, maybe 4 months ago, and it's still in really good shape. Now if you got paint that's a year old, you're going to use it, chances are when you mix it up, you're going to have globs in it and blops of stuff. And so you might want to get a straining bag. And they have straining bags for 5-gallon buckets or 1-gallon buckets, and then you have to get a bucket, obviously, and strain your paint. The last thing you want is all kinds of little things in your paint, and I'm hoping I don't have that problem here because I'm not sure if I have any straining bags here with me. I'm not sure if I do or not. I used to have some years ago, and I think I still might have one in here somewhere, but I'm hoping not to have to use that because this is still pretty good paint. And I'm gonna end up using a little mini roller. I got a little 4-inch, and I just got my stick, my painting extension pole is just a broom handle. That's all. And then I'm taking one of these, and I think this is 1/4-inch nap. Okay, and I've got 2 of these, and one is better than the other. So obviously I've got to pick out which one is the best one for the doors, and I think it was this one here, because if you got any areas where when you clean this off before, if there's some hard bits on it or something like that, or if it's worn, you might want to decide which one to use that way. And see, I had some other ones. This is 3/8. This is 3/8 nap, but I don't think I'm going to use those because the bigger nap, the more textured type finish you're going to put on there. You see what I mean? Even with 1/4-inch nap, you're going to have some little bit, and that's okay. I don't mind that. And that's another reason why you don't want to get a paintbrush out and do anything with paintbrush marks. And if you get a drip of something on here, then I go back and do the whole thing again with the roller. If I see any little paint that's running here, I can't just wipe that off and take a paintbrush and go and leave the rest, because then that finish is different than the rest of the finish with the roller. And before I get the roller out, obviously I'm going to paint this area with a paintbrush, okay, and just blend it in all the way around, and then get my paintbrush for the other things, and then flip the door around, do the same thing, and then I can take a roller and do the rest. So see, everything has its sequence. And so I'll get stuff out, and before what I did is I put the paint in a bucket, and I had a strainer, 5-gallon bucket strainer and stuff, a grid strainer, but I'm not going to do that this time. I've got my my tray. Here's my tray. I've got some little inserts, plastic inserts here, and I'll pick one of those, and I can do it out of the tray and do that. So I'm going to get all set up for all that kind of stuff, and kind of get ready to go. Here's my paintbrushes, and I like to use a paintbrush with an angled tip. You know, this one I use for cut-in and stuff. I don't think I'm going to use that for this, but I could. And this one's only a 2-inch, I think. Yeah, see, 2-inch. And I used to use this one for everything. This is a 2.5-inch, and I don't use this one as much as this one. I found I had better control with this little stubby one with the rubber tip, and it gave me a little bit more control than that one. But I mean, either one of those, and I'll get set up. Always, you know, when you get ready to paint, you're always going to find something that you need, right? But when you're doing it yourself, here's the thing: you don't have to worry as much about buying things, because then you can save certain things, and you're going to build up for the next thing, for the next thing, for the next thing. You've got money to do that because you're doing it yourself. You're not paying somebody else an arm and a leg to do your painting for you. Because if you pay somebody else to do this door, guess what? Next time you need a door done, what are you going to do? You're going to call a painter and have them paint this door, you know, some other time, and next time you have something else that needs to be painted, you're going to bring somebody out there to do that. Every single time you do that, that's money out of your pockets. You just have to start learning how to do things yourself. The more you do, it's just the better you get. That's just how it works. Now see, before you just jump in there and get your roller out and stuff, you just think about your project. Step by step, you're going to get it done. Get ready, be prepared, because I'm going to be jumping in between using a paintbrush and then using a roller. And then when I get done with the roller the first time, I've got to let stuff dry. Then I'm going to get back in the roller. But I'm not going to start washing my paintbrush out every time and washing my roller out every time. I've got little bits of plastic here, and I've already cut the plastic bag up. So see, I've got little pieces to put my roller in, to put my wet paintbrush in. And once you do that, you don't have to wash your roller out every single time. You see what I'm saying? And it works out really good, especially if you're going to get back into your paintbrush. You know, a half hour later, an hour later, you can do that. You don't have to keep washing your paintbrush. Because the thing I don't like is if you've only got one paintbrush and you're using that and then you're washing it out, and then 20 minutes later you need to use that paintbrush again, guess what? The bristles are still wet. They're not dry all the way. And then you're like, oh, do I have to wait until the paintbrush is dry all the way before I start painting again? And that kind of thing. So, you know, I'm gonna get all set up and ready to go before I get my paint out. Have everything ready. And like I say, I am not a professional painter, but when I get done with my jobs, it looks like a professional painter did it. I mean, as for that matter, I've repainted everything inside this condo, and you'll see it on different episodes previous on these where I'm painting all of the ceilings I painted, all the walls I painted, all the door frames, the door jambs, the baseboards, the window stools, all that kind of stuff. And I get it all down. I had to cut everything in along here, and I show you how to cut in the ceilings. I show you how to cut in door casings. I show you how to cut in the top edge of the baseboards. and the bottom edge of the wall color and all that kind of stuff. All that's on my channel. I try to show you everything so that you can get better as you go, okay? And so now I'm just going to get ready and do what I do on these doors. Now here's something I wanted to point out to you. I used to, like on door edges and cutting in ceilings and stuff, I used to just use a regular throwaway paintbrush. That's what I call this. I don't throw them away after I use it one time, but I use it for other things and for when I first dip into the paint and stuff and clean off the paint can. I'll use something like this, rinse it out and things like that. But I would not recommend using something like that on doors or door frames or stuff like that, because what happens is you get little bits of the hairs coming out, and every once in a while it'll come out, and like I noticed it last time I painted some door frames or something, and I looked back later and I thought, son of a gun, what is that? And there was a couple little strands of this in there, and it's like, okay, do I peel it out? If I peel it out, then I have to touch up the paint and that kind of stuff. And so that's another reason why you want to get something nice. Plus if you get something nice, it holds quite a bit of paint and stuff. And I'm going to end up using this one. And see, this is my old one, and look at this. After a while, look, see, this whole thing came out, and I'm just going to have to be careful with it and hold it as I'm painting. But what I need to do, and I thought I did before, is put some caulking in there, construction adhesive or something inside of there, and push this back in there and glue it in so I can keep using it, because this is a perfectly good paintbrush still. I've kept it in pretty good shape. It's quite a few years old, but it still has tons of life left on it. I like using this, and these are not cheap. Go to the store. You don't want to buy something really chintzy that comes with a whole set of things, because your paint job's only going to be as good as your tools are. This thing here probably costs, I don't know, between $15 and $20 just for one. And you know, when I got this was about 10 bucks, and I could use that. See, I just have to decide, and this kind of gives me good control. It'll hold lots of paint. That's all I need on there. I don't need to use the fatter paintbrush if I don't want. I could do this, you know, to get the inside of that, and I might. Okay? I just might use that. So you decide, get the materials you need and the tools you need, and do it right. Now before I start getting ready with my painting, remember I said I have to paint this edge after I paint this here. But you don't want, on this door, on this side, you don't want to get done with this and paint this edge and then try to flip the door around, because your hand's going to be right here, right? You don't want to wait for this to dry until you flip it, because it's just going to take longer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint with my paintbrush. I'm going to do everything, you know, on the surface. I can hit the top, I can hit that top edge and stuff where I need to, and hit other things on the surface, but nothing on the edge. And then after I flip it, then I can do all this on the other side of the door, and then I can do this. And see, I can just pull the door out like that, and if I need to hit it, I can look at that and hit all of the dark marks, you know, on the edge, up from here down to about there, and make sure I don't have any runs. Then I can lean the door back, and then I can sit here and get this edge all the way on everything. Then after that gets dry, then I can start getting my paint roller out. Do you see what I mean? Everything has its sequence, remember. and get her going.